Welcome to another edition of MetsMusings. I hope you all had a great week out there. It's a little cold here, hard to think about baseball, but we continue to cozy up around the old hot stove to talk some New York Mets baseball. Let's start off with some sad news. Former Mets manager and Yankees coach Jeff Torborg died on Sunday. He was 83 years old. Torborg caught three no-hitters in his 10-year playing career with the Dodgers and Angels. His managerial career started in Cleveland. He also managed the Chicago White Sox and, of course, the New York Mets. He was a coach for the Yankees and also went on to manage in his later career with the Montreal Expos and the Florida Marlins in 2002, 2003. As a Mets manager, he went 85 and 115, including a 13 and 25 start in the 1993 season, which led to his early season dismissal from the New York Mets. But Jeff Torborg, a longtime announcer after his managing career, as well, has passed away at the age of 83. Our condolences go out to the Torborg family. Jeff Torborg, 83 years old. All right. All right, and we're back, and the Pete Alonso saga is getting like a soap opera now. It just doesn't seem to go away. The Mets were bracing and are still working in that direction that Pete is going to sign elsewhere. However, there are reports that the two sides are talking again. It was believed that the Blue Jays were interested in Pete and have put out some feelers. But now they've just signed Anthony Santander as their big agent signing. And the word is that they're more interested in extending Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They want to keep him, hang on to him. So any money that may have gone towards Pete, it may be gone from Toronto. So where is his market? Well, it doesn't seem to be a market. If he goes to a short-term deal, perhaps there might be a marketplace, but there just doesn't seem to be a market right now. Excuse me. Seattle may be interested, but Seattle's a terrible ballpark to hit in. He'd be foolish to go there. Same thing for San Francisco. It's not a good ballpark for him. So the best fit everybody agrees with is the New York Mets. It's just that, can he budge the Mets off their offer of between 68 and 70 million? Or does he come down to the Mets? Now, originally, it was reported that the Pete was looking for like 3 years, 100 million, and that the Mets had counted with 3 years between 68 and 70 million. And I heard one place it could go to 72 million with incentives and all of that kind of thing and opt-outs. Pete rejected that. Will he go back and lower his demands? And will the Mets be willing to come up slightly? They may be willing to come up slightly, but really, when you think about it, there's no market. Why come up at all? Why come up at all? There's no other offers out there. At least that's the way it seems. Now, Scott Boras will say he's got 5 offers on the table, but I don't know. There could be some panic in the Alonso camp because, again, spring training is like 20 days away. So we could have some backlash here against Scott Boras. I don't know. You know, it's funny. Nimmo signed with no problem. He was a Boras client. But Alonso, I guess Boras convinced Alonso that he was the A-plus candidate, and it's not working out that way. And it's not working out for Pete. Not at all. He should take the 3 years, say $70 million that the Mets are offering him, get an opt-out after the first year, and go out and have a big year. And I said this last week. I probably said it 2 weeks ago. That's what his plan should be. Hopefully he'd have a big year, and the Mets would have a big year with him. But then he could opt out, and maybe there'll be other teams next year that would be more interested. Or if not, look, $23 million or whatever is nothing to sneeze at. But he's not going to get the big deal that he thought. And why? Why isn't he not getting the big deal? Because the numbers just don't back up. Yes, he's a power hitter, but that's about it. His defense was next to last for first baseman in Major League Baseball last year. He's not a fast runner, and his average has shown a decline over the past few years. So you put that all together, it doesn't bode well for him. So unless some team gets desperate, and there's always that possibility, his best fit right now is the New York Mets. And with Soto in the lineup and Alonso back in a lineup, boy, that would give him especially with Soto in the lineup and the emergence of Vientos, that would give him, if they sandwich him between those two guys, he could have a monster year. A monster year. And then you opt out. All waiting to see what happens, though. It's all in Pete's hands, and we don't know what he's gonna do. I'm not even sure he knows what he's gonna do. But we will wait and see. And spring training is like 20 days away, so you want to do something, and you don't want to be. This is unsettling. It's unsettling to a family. It's unsettling to the player. The team can more or less live with it, but everybody else, it's very unsettling to know where you're going. And I just think it's going to end one or two ways. He's going to go somewhere where he's not going to be happy. Somebody could come with a 5-year, 7-year offer for nice money, and he'll take it. But is he going to be happy there? My guess would be no. I mean, look what happened to Jose Reyes. He took a big deal with Miami, and then after a year or two, they traded him, and he was miserable until he came back to the Mets. And so you don't want to see the same thing happen to Pete. So we shall see what will happen as time goes by. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back right after this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
And we're back. And the Mets are reportedly in agreement with free agent left-handed reliever A.J. Minter on a 2-year, $22 million contract. Minter can opt out after the first season. The deal is pending a physical. The Mets have an opening on the 40-man roster, so no additional move will be necessary. The Mets have not confirmed this deal now, as of yet, as we record this. So we don't know what position it is, but they have agreed to this deal. Minter is 31. He's been a strong performer in recent years. There is at least some uncertainty due to his health. He went on the injured list twice in 2024 due to a left hip inflammation and eventually underwent surgery in August. It's unclear exactly when Minter will be fully healthy again, but the surgery doesn't seem to have hurt his market anywhere. There's a lot of teams bidding for him, so that's a good sign that most people think he's going to be healthy. And David Peterson had some hip surgery. I don't know if it was the same type, but similar, and he'd come back better than ever. So A.J. Minter has the same possibility, and he will be an impactful player, hopefully, in 2025 when he finally gets here and gets that physical done. So A.J. Minter, which is another sign that the Mets are not sitting still. They lost out on Tanner Scott, and Sasaki, so they're going towards the bullpen, and A.J. Minter is the guy that they've signed. And don't forget, they also, if you missed last week's show, we reported that they also signed Jesse Winker back. So Mets pivoting a little bit, but they're still talking to Pete, so Pete could still be back here, folks. So anything can happen at this particular point in time. All right, let's see. We've got some other news, and that's the Brooklyn Cyclones and Diamond Baseball Holdings have announced that Maimonides Park will have a brand new state-of-the-art video board installed for the 2025 season. The existing board was updated prior to the start of the 2011 season and featured 480 square feet of video board space. The new board, which will be installed prior to opening day 2025, will have nearly 3 times big board. The video board space with 1,400 square feet available will have a whopping 1,196,544,000 pixels to provide crystal clear video. So go check out a Cyclones game. They're a lot of fun, and you'll see stars of the future out there. And we have some Hall of Fame news. Some elections went on to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, and former Met closer Billy Wagner reached the necessary 75% support on the Baseball Writers Association of America Hall of Fame ballots And that was revealed last night on MLB Network. Suzuki and Sabathia were on the ballot for the first time, while Matt Wagner made it in his 10th and final year. They will be going in with the late Dick Allen and Dave Parker, who were elected by the Classic Baseball Era Committee last month. The class of 2025 will be inducted Sunday, July 27th on the grounds of the Clark Sports Center in Cooperstown, New York. Now, David Wright was also on that ballot. He received 8.1% and will remain on the Hall of Fame ballots for another year, so at least. And let's hope David Wright's numbers can go up there, and he can eventually get up to the Hall of and into the Hall of Fame. It's an interesting situation. His numbers were terrific to go to the Hall of Fame. He was on his path to the Hall of Fame when injury slowed him down and eventually ended his career. So that could hurt him, but there could be enough of a body of work there for some writers to think he should be in the Hall of Fame. The big question to me is, and I'm sure everybody in Mets land is celebrating Billy Wagner, and because he pitched for the Mets, I don't see it that way. I don't see how Billy Wagner should be in the Hall of Fame. How can Billy Wagner be number 2 in saves for left-handed relief pitchers and be in the Hall of Fame, and the number 1 guy for saves by left-handed relief pitchers, our own John Franco, is not? Their numbers are very similar. And, in fact, Franco had more wins, had more years pitched, had more innings, more saves, and is not in the Hall of Fame. Yet Billy Wagner is now. How they come about that, I don't understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But this is the decision that they reached, and I believe that Franco's off the ballot. He didn't even get enough votes to stay on the ballot. So it's not a good thing. I hope when it gets to the Veterans Committee or one of these other committees that they give John Franco another look, especially now that Wagner's in the Hall of Fame. Just doesn't make sense to me, but there's a lot of things that don't make sense to me in Major League Baseball, and that's life, I guess. That's what makes horse races. All right, have you ever wondered why you never see a donkey sleeping in a bathtub? In the 1800s in New York State, in the county of Brooklyn, someone put into an effect an American blue law stating that donkeys could not sleep in bathtubs. According to an article by Sports Illustrated, it is widely rumored the law comes from a case where a donkey fell asleep in a bathtub and would eventually be washed away during a flood, where locals had to bring the donkey back home and decided to sign a law to prevent it from happening again. What the heck has this got to do with the Mets? Well, the Binghamton Rumble Pony fans are in for a treat when the Double-A affiliate transforms into the Binghamton Bathtub Donkeys for 2 occasions in the 2025 season on June 28th and July 30th. The alternate identity was inspired from the moniker of the Hartford Yard Goats, the Bouncing Pickles, that celebrates the law that if a pickle did not bounce, it was not edible. Now, none of that makes sense, but suffice it to say, the Binghamton Rumble Ponies will become the Binghamton Bathtub Donkeys for two games this season. This is what the minor league do. They take these odd things and take on that identity for a couple of games. It's a fun thing. It's a chance to sell different merch, It's just something that they always do. The Cyclones have done it in the past a number of times, and the Syracuse has done it. They all do it at one point in time, and it's a fun thing, and it brings people to the ballpark. It's something different, and it's not unlike when the Mets did and Major League Baseball did the Mercury Mets back 100 years ago. So the Binghamton Bathtub Donkeys will make their debut sometime this year. And that's going to do it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. No more breaking news on Pete Alonso, but suffice it to say, the last reports are the Mets and Pete Alonso's camp are talking again. So it could go in either direction. I mean, the talks could break off. The Mets are not standing still, thank goodness, which is a smart thing to do. They are satisfied with Mark Vientos taking over, confident he can do it. So they're going to stand pat. It's going to be up to what Pete wants to do. So we'll see what happens as we sit on the edge of our seat and wait. But I would like you to, if you're watching this video and happy with it, to go hit the subscribe and the like button and leave a comment down below. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us grow the show. So if you could take the time to do that, and if you're listening to the audio version, hit the follow or subscribe button, whatever your podcast app lets you do, so you'll always know when another edition of MetsMusings is been released. So until next time, remember, keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of MetsMusings.